Hello, welcome back to From the Shed End. Welcome back. It's been a bit of a break. We've taken a break from the channel, but we are back. Thank you very much for everyone who's stuck around and has been watching the videos and been listening to our podcast as well whilst we've been away. But we are back. There's going to be a new episode coming out this week. We are gearing up for the new season. A lot has happened since we've been away. I'm not going to get into all of that, but just to summarize, if everyone hasn't already heard, obviously Pochettino got appointed the Chelsea manager. We've signed a couple of players, Nicholas Jackson being a key one for us in Cuckoo as well. Some big signings coming in, hopefully Moises Caicedo, who we're going to talk about later on today as well. But we've seen some outgoings as well, the latest being Ethan Ampadu, who was signed for Leeds United. Marseille have captured Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang on a 3-year deal, which is no surprise to anyone as he hardly played last season. Lukaku is back in training at Cobham alongside Hakim Ziyech and Armando Broja as he continues his rehabilitation period. So there's been a lot going on. A lot of other key signings have come in. Amari Hutchinson looks like he's going to Ipswich. I'm hoping in that short space of 60 seconds, I've been able to summarize where we are. We're currently in America. There was a live training session yesterday. We have a game later on today with Wrexham, or I should say tonight with Wrexham, 1 a.m. kickoff time in UK. I think it's 7 o'clock maybe in US, but something like that. My time differences are a bit messy, but looking forward to seeing Chelsea in action later on, early hours of this morning. So yeah, let's get straight into it. Obviously, the news that broke yesterday about Wesley Fofana, after just letting Koulibaly leave to go to the Saudi Arabia and play over there, we lose a defender. Thiago Silva's a year older. There's talk about Trevor Chalobah still leaving the club. And we go and lose Wesley Fofana, who has had a turbulent time as a Chelsea player already. If you remember back to last season, he injured himself against AC Milan, I think, in the Champions League. He came back after rehabilitation and injured himself again in the friendly against Brentford. And I think he returned back to action maybe in February last season. So for a player at 22 years of age, there's a lot of question marks now around Wesley Fofana. Obviously, it derails a lot of the plans I'd expect Mauricio Pochettino to be trying to build and install into this team, preparing for the season ahead. So to lose Fofana at this time in the season, for me, is massively crucial. Obviously, Trevor Chalobah, as I said, was meant to be one of those players alongside Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Mason Mount, Christian Pulisic, all these players that we knew were going to be going in the summer. Obviously, Cesar Spilicueta being another one, Edouard Mendy, all these players that have gone. Trevor Chalobah was on that list of the fire sale. We knew that already. We knew that he was potentially going to go. That has probably all changed now. Now, there's two things for me that Mauricio Pochettino will have to do in the next couple of weeks or so, especially while he's preparing for the season ahead, and being away in America potentially might make that slightly more difficult. But I think he has to now assess his options. Can he trust Thiago Silva and Trevor Chalobah as the right centre backs, and Badiashile and who else have we got in there now? And Levi Colwill, of course, in those positions at left centre back. Can you trust them? Now, Pochettino will essentially be playing a back four. I think the back three with the two wing backs is a thing of the past. Under Lampard and Potter, I think we won't see that with Pochettino. I think we'll see more of the especially from the training session that we got to watch last night as well. I think there's going to be more of this 4-2-3-1 formation from Pochettino. I'm all in favour of that. We've obviously got the depth now with Malo Gusto, Reece James, Cucurella, Ben Chilwell, even Lewis Hall, who's got a massive question mark whether he goes out on loan. There's a lot of Premier League clubs in for Lewis Hall. Pochettino wants to assess him apparently during the summer series in America to see how he can perform. Can he be a part of the team going forward for Chelsea next season, or does he need that additional loan period away from the club for the season ahead? It's a massive question mark. But Lewis Hall is another option as well. But Ethan Ampadu as well. I mean, he could have been an option had he not signed for Leeds United. He's had some very sort of up and down moments whilst he's been playing in Serie A over the last couple of seasons. But I think this is a massive question mark now. A 22-year-old Wesley Fofana, third massive injury when you think about, the lack of game time he's played under various managers at Chelsea whilst he's been here. He came on a relatively big price tag as well. So there is a lot of question marks around his fitness. Can he, and we have to remember, this isn't just an ACL tear. this is ACL reconstruction. So the whole ACL is shot to bits. It's not going to be a quick, 2 or 3 months. This is pretty much Wesley Fofana out for the season. It's going to take 7, maybe 8 months of rehab. Then you've got to get up to match fitness, and you're talking, almost final game of the season. We might see him, or even next season now. So it all comes down to Pochettino, the board, the scouts, the backroom staff. Do they have enough trust in Trevor Chalobah to do the job, to get the job done? Do we need to go back into the market and maybe bring in another centre back? The lack of game time this season, for the fact that we've allowed Koulibaly to go, assuming obviously we expected Fofana to be fit for the season, but we do remember that we're not in the Champions League. We're only going to be competing for domestic trophies this season. We really need top 4 as our objective for the season. So there's limited game time, but we still need to cover, because if we lose Thiago Silva, we're heavily reliant on Trevor Chalobah. We need cover in that area. And when you look back, Cesar Azpilicueta, who could have filled in at right centre back, is no longer there at the club. So I think we have to. Me personally, I would want to see someone come in and be able to come in and play that role of, sitting on the bench, sitting out a couple of games, playing in the Carabao Cup, playing in the FA Cup, giving Thiago Silva, Trevor Chalobah, who you would expect now will be on a heavy rotation through games, give them to a rest and bring someone else just to cover. The expectation shouldn't be that they'll be playing every game, but they'll be willing to play a part for the season. So it's a tough one. I mean, me personally, I would bring in cover for Chalobah and Silva. As I said, Silva's a year older, but massive question mark for Pochettino. He's got to get it right. He's got to get it right. So we'll have to see how that pans out. But as I said, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, another player who is leaving the club after a very strange season for him, really, when you think back to the time when we weren't really linked with him. We know we needed a striker. In comes Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. At that time, Thomas Tuchel still at the club. Clearly was a Thomas Tuchel signing. He comes in, does half decent. I think he scores, a good couple of goals for us, and then just went downhill. He just went all the way downhill, and he hasn't stopped going downhill really as well. So I think that the idea that Aubameyang was going to be at the club next season was zero. We knew that he wanted to leave. The club wanted him to go. He's obviously on a lot of wages at the club. He was on a very high bonus, if I remember, for appearance fees for the club as well. So I think he had to be moved on. All part of the FFP as well that we had to meet in terms of that 30th of June deadline. So to see him go, I'm not disheartened. Very much like a centre-back position, it does leave us very short, because obviously Armando Broja is still coming back from that massive injury that he picked up last season in pre-season. Lukaku, the man of the hour, the one who seems to be able to destroy anything in his sight. He's washed his hands of Inter Milan. Juventus fans have pleaded with their board not to sign him. So the only outlook really for Lukaku is Saudi, one of the clubs in the Saudi league, or to stay at Chelsea and play a part. And any Chelsea fan I speak to, 90% of them do not want Lukaku back at the club. I'll be one of them. I don't want him there at the club either. So at least a short in those centre forward striker roles. I know Nkunku can play there, but I think from Pochettino and for some of the things he said in his press conferences and some of the way that I can see Nkunku playing in the team for us would be to play in that 10 role, sitting off the striker, doing what we know he can do in those roles as well. Nicholas Jackson obviously coming in. He's coming for relatively low money. Had a good end to the season for Villarreal. I'm expecting big things from him, but I think we do need a prolific goal scorer. We need someone that can score 15 to 20 goals in a season. There's still going to be talk, obviously, with the link between Pochettino and Harry Kane. Can we prize him away from Spurs? Obviously, Bayern Munich are trying to work the cogs there to try and sign him. But me personally, I want to see a prolific goal scorer. I want to see someone that's proven in the Premier League, proven that can back themselves when they're in front of goal. No hesitation, put it in left, right, centre, can take penalties, and I want someone that can come in and do that. And I mean, I'm still all for Ivan Toney. I know I've been saying this all last season. I'm probably going to continue to say that all of this season as well. But I think for me, we need someone that can come in. Nicholas Jackson, yes, we need to give him an opportunity. Obviously, we've lost David Datro Fofana, who's gone out on loan as well. So we're very limited in those striker, centre forward roles. We have to have someone that can play number 9, who is prolific in my opinion. And that isn't Lukaku. We don't know if that is Nicholas Jackson. Amanda Broya, as I said, is coming back from that injury. We've now lost Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang as well. So there's a lot of question marks for me. The two key areas that me and Theo and a lot of other Chelsea fans have said on here before, that we have to make sure we've got the right cover for this season. We don't have any excuses this season in terms of failure. We don't have any excuses for not scoring goals. The lack of games that we're going to be playing without being in Europe, that means we've got more opportunity to showcase what we can do. Less pressure on the players as well. So I think this is the perfect time to try and bring in a striker. Who that striker is, I'm not sure. But if you think you have an idea, let me know in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are as well. I want to see someone that can come in and do a really good job. But I want to talk quickly before we wrap up about Moises Caicedo. Apparently a bid was, rejected. We submitted and it was rejected by Brighton for 70 million, I think with 5 million add-ons. It was rejected. I think there's a massive approach from Brighton to say that obviously Declan Rice has just gone for 105 million to Arsenal. They're looking for that kind of range of a price for a fee for Moises Caicedo. I like the player, but not for 105 million. I think if we pay any more than 80 million, which was what the agreed figure, the gentleman handshake, if you want to call it that, between Caicedo and Brighton when Arsenal came in for him, he was told, stay at the club to the end of the season. We'll honour your move in the summer. The valuation was 80 million. It's somehow gone up by another 20, maybe 30 million in the space of 6 or 5 months, which, is not very good for the player. It's not very good for us. We're trying to play hardball as we have done with many of our negotiations in the past. But I think we have to get this one over the line. You think we've lost N'Golo Kante, we've lost Ruben Loftus-Cheek, we've lost Mason Mount. We've lost a lot of players in that role. Mateo Kovacic being another one. So we've lost a lot of our midfield. We are going to be heavily reliant on Enzo Fernandez this season, but we have some of the youngsters that can come in and play a role. But I think we need someone who's, again, proven in the Premier League, that can play alongside Enzo Fernandez, maybe play as a DM so we can move Enzo slightly up the field. One of the frustrations that we got to see last season with Fernandez was that, during the back end of the season, he was more frustrated with the lack of passing opportunities available to him. He was almost doing 2 roles at once at one point. So I think we need to push him slightly forward, get a DM and get someone that can sit just behind Fernandez, allow Fernandez to go slightly forward before the pitch, and he'll be able to ping passes. When you think about all the wingers we've got now, Mudryk, Madueke, Sterling and Kuku, Nicholas Jackson, we've got players that can play in those roles and do a job for us. So I think, for me, I want to see Fernandez with the assists. I want to see him putting the balls into that box, into that space behind the defenders. But we need to get midfielders in. And I think that's one of the key areas that, again, me and Theo spoke about back in the last season. A goalkeeper now, another really key area of the pitch that we have to sort out before the kickoff of the season. Obviously, Edouard Mendy's left. He's gone over to the Saudi League to play over there. We've only got Kepa and Gabriel Slonina as the 2 really recognised goalkeepers now in the club that would potentially start as first choice. So we lost out on Onana, who's now gone to Manchester United. We have to bring someone in, more so because if we do lose Kepa to some sort of injury, which we've had in the past, if you remember back to Kudicini and Petr Cech, we have to make sure we've got cover in that area because, as I said before, there are no excuses this season, in my opinion, for us not be able to get top 4, not be able to go on a really good cup run, go on and win the cup as well. So I think we have to go on a really, really good season. We can't get any worse than we were last season at 12th. We have to improve on that massively next season. The pressure's going to be on the players that come in, the players that are still there from last season, and obviously Pochettino. But look, I'm looking forward to the season. I'm looking forward to the pre-season game. I'm looking forward to the summer series that's going to be kicking off after the Florida Cup against Wrexham as well. I'm looking forward to all of it now. Obviously, the kits come out. We're going to talk about all of that in the podcast episode, so make sure you do not miss that. It should be out on Friday. Make sure you hit the Linktree link. Make sure you got all your notifications on so you do not miss that episode. It's going to be a bumper episode with myself and Theo. This is going to be a short video. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And we are back in business. We're going to be back regular with these videos. So make sure you, again, hit the notification bell on YouTube and you'll be notified when there's a new video. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, stay safe and we'll be back soon.